Can you hear? Is it working? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Good afternoon, and welcome to what is our first, but we hope, annual Women of Character Alumni Panel. We have 4 distinguished women alumni of Maine Maritime Academy here to speak a bit about their experiences at the Academy, as well as what they have found as they've gone out into the working world. I would like to begin by introducing our panelists. Jennifer Brokaw, who is a 1999 graduate in nautical science. Jennifer most recently served as master on the Maersk Line and is currently transitioning to life ashore after 14 years at sea. While at the Academy, Jennifer was a student athlete, a regimental NTO, and secretary of the class of 1999. Vanessa Bigu is another one of our panelists. After graduation, Vanessa first held a position as a chemistry analyst at an environmental testing company, and later as a sterilization validation scientist at a Fortune Global 500 pharmaceutical manufacturing company. She moved back to Maine in 2003 to pursue a career at an emerging microbiology testing company, where she quickly grew through the ranks of microbiologist, project manager, and eventually laboratory technical director. She has spent the past 4 years as a scientific research associate at IDEX Laboratories, the global market leader in diagnostic and information technology solutions for animal health and water and milk quality. Her position at IDEX utilizes her diverse technical and management background, and she is responsible for all duties related to the acquisition of samples, inventory management, and vendor relations. Lindsay Smith is a 2000 graduate of the Academy and Marine Engineering Technology major. Lindsay is currently a staff chief engineer for Norwegian Cruise Lines on a cruise ship that's based in Hawaii. Welcome back to Maine. She previously worked for Transocean Offshore Drilling as a 3rd and 2nd engineer, and she was the first female cadet chief engineer aboard the training ship State of Maine. At MMA, Lindsay was a student athlete and captain of the championship women's basketball team. Kate Lawler-Pertenti, graduate of 2002 in power engineering, joined GE in 2005 as a commissioning manager working in power plants in the US and EU. In 2007, she was hired as part of the project management leadership program, where she's held roles in commercial operations, project scheduling, and finance. Prior to GE, she was a project manager for thermal products, projects installing power plants across the United States, Greece, and Turkey, and worked for Duke Energy as a startup and commissioning manager. She too captained the Mariners Championship basketball team. We'd like to begin with each of our panelists explaining a little bit about what they're doing and the trajectory of their careers, and then if we do have time, we do have some questions prepared for them.
So I work for GE. I'm a project manager of thermal power plant installations. So GE's an equipment manufacturer of gas and steam turbines. So basically, it's my job to take those contracts as they're sold and execute them through engineering, manufacturing, delivery, and installation until the power plant goes into commercial operation.
I'm captain of USNS Impeccable. It's part of the special mission fleet with MSC. I work for Maersk Unlimited. There's about 50 people on board, 21 of them are crew, and the rest are either Navy or Lockheed Martin technicians. We go out for about 4 months and do surveillance. We only pull into port about once a month for about 3 or 4 days. And then I get about 4 months off when I'm home. So right now I'm transitioning into a shoreside job, trying to figure out what I want to do for regular life, and it's kind of interesting.
I work for Norwegian Cruise Line. I'm staff chief engineer. We have about 54 people in our department with a total crew count of over 900. We carry around 2,700 passengers. My job is to oversee overall operations of pretty much the entire ship. But my primary focus is the hotel operations. Leaving here, I never thought that I'd be working on dishwashers, microwaves, laundry machines. That's my primary focus now. But I do oversee all the engine room operations and all of that. And I work a 10-week on, 10-week off schedule.
Lindsay and I should not have sat next to each other. Basketball memories coming back. So I graduated with a degree in ocean studies, which I understand no longer actually exists. But what I've been doing with my career, as was described, has been pretty broad. What I do now for IDEX Laboratories, it's a company that owns, we have about 5,000 employees. I work at the worldwide campus in Westbrook. There's about 2,000 employees on that campus. My job is to run all of the duties around sample acquisition for research and development. There's about 300 employees in that group through a wide range of lines of business for water development, livestock and poultry diagnostics, and chiefly companion animals. So I go out and get samples for cats and dogs that come back for verification and validation testing, commercial release, lots of different things. So I wear a lot of hats, but we'll go with that one because that seems to apply most broadly to me.
Thank you. We do, like I said, we do have some preliminary questions, and the audience will also have the chance to ask questions, I believe. What do you enjoy most about your career and your job?
That makes sense. What I enjoy most about I'm going to go with job because my career has been very flexible and fluctuating. What I like most about my job is I get a very big picture above a lot of little detailed jobs that are going on. So I know a little bit about a lot of things, and I like that. My career has kind of gotten me to this point where early on I really focused very down at the bench level, and I got to know science at a more detailed level. So my career has brought me there, and I enjoyed that about my career. But what I like most about my job is that I get a very much more, 30,000-foot level view of everything that's going on. It's very project management, so I like that kind of being connected to a lot of different types of science.
I like probably the newer technology. I'm working on a cruise ship, so it's newer. It was brought out in 2005 or 2006, I can't remember exactly. But it's all new technology. And so being able to see it, work on it. And I also, in my position now, I am able to oversee large projects. We recently have been doing a lot of work in service. We've been installing new cabins. We've been installing exhaust scrubbers on engines, and I'm overall in charge of all of that. I oversee the contractors that come on board, I oversee all the work that's done, and it gives the overall view of how everything works, and I really enjoy that. And, having 10 weeks off isn't bad either, so.
I enjoy the travel. I enjoy working overseas at different ports. You get to know the local culture and the local people and how they work. My whole career has been with the Navy, and I enjoy that. It's a lot different than merchant world. So I get a lot of experience with commanders and captains of fleets and aircraft carriers and destroyers, and it's really fascinating. The day-to-day work, it's a challenge because I never know what to expect. You wake up and it's a normal morning, but by noon you might be dealing with personnel issues or medevacs or weather diversions. It's always changing, and that's fantastic. It's never boring.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I like. The people you meet. Everywhere you go, GE is a global company, so you're always on the phone or meeting somebody globally. I've had projects in Turkey, in Greece, we have teams in China and Mexico, and with every person you meet, you take something from them personally and academically. There's a lot of subject matter experts out there, so the people are part of that, and you have that connection with them, but also you can learn, you're learning so much every day.
What has surprised you the most about your career and your job?
For me, I graduated power engineering, so I went into the field, and that's what I did, working on equipment, power plant startups. I never thought I would be a project manager. It wasn't even in my realm of something that I was going to do. So that surprised me a lot, and with that comes like a matrix environment where people work for you that don't work for you. So, it's a lot of tough management when, you need feedback or you need solutions from people who don't actually report to you. So that's kind of been a challenge. It's rough.
I'm surprised at how small the maritime industry is. I went to a class 2 weeks ago, and 2 guys came up to me and introduced themselves. They knew me, they knew about me, they knew what ships I worked on, and I have no clue who these people are. They knew me, they met me through other people. It's really a small industry, and as females, of course, we stand out. I enjoy the fact that the world is so much smaller now. Say you pull into Singapore and you go on Facebook and you ask who's there, and next thing you know, you have a class reunion over dinner that night. So it's really neat and fascinating.
I'd have to agree with Jen. Everything is very, very small in the maritime industry. Same thing with me, being one of the few females in the engineering field, especially for a cruise line. Most of the guys that work either on the other ships have heard of me, but you go to other cruise lines where I have friends that work, they think they're all lying to them. They don't believe it until they've seen pictures or they've heard stories or I go visit. Most of the time they don't believe it. The other thing that I'm very surprised at is that I'm actually working for a cruise line. I vowed I'd never work for one, and here I am. But I enjoy it, and it's a challenge every day. So it's interesting to meet 2,000 new people every single week.
What surprised me most about my career has really been that it doesn't matter where I go. And again, I wasn't in engineering. I don't travel at all. I'm very provincial now. I don't really like to leave Portland for some reason. I'm not even from Portland, but I love the city. But what's really surprised me about my career is that no matter where I go, I left the state, I went to New Jersey to work, and when I would talk about Maine Maritime, people knew about the school. I had to educate them a little bit that there's actually a science degree there. They didn't understand why I was applying for a chemistry position from a maritime school. But I found over the years that that conversation doesn't come up that much anymore. So I think the outreach that Maine Maritime has had is having some sort of positive impact. But really for my career, the biggest challenge is early on trying to talk to people about what Maine Maritime was and to really market myself as a scientist that, we have a decent education and the background about it. And I feel like I don't have to do that anymore, and that's really great.
How did Maine Maritime Academy prepare you for your career? And how might you have been better prepared either by the Academy or your own choices and experiences?
Maine Maritime prepared me. Honestly, when I chose to come to Maine Maritime for 2 reasons. I wanted to study oceanography and marine biology. I knew that very, very early on in my life. And then Deidre wanted me to play basketball, and she's hard to say no to. So I got both in one shot. But the education that I got here was really great because we learned geology and ecology and all these other sciences that I never really knew I was going to learn about, and that kind of opened up my eyes that there was a lot more to science than just the ocean, which I still love. What was the second part of the question? Oh,
How might you have been better prepared?
Honestly, I think I would have been better prepared through my own choices. My first couple of summers during college, I spent just trying to make money. Of course, we didn't have co-op programs, so I didn't have to do something in my field. Looking back, I wish that I had done something in my field, either got an internship at a laboratory, even unpaid, just to get some experience, especially because coming out, there's a lot of competition, at least in the science field. And especially when you have to market not only yourself, but the institution that you went to, at least early on. For me, that was a challenge. So I really could have done a better job at getting more practical experience while I was, while I had my summers off.
I think the Academy prepared me by being adaptable. I can adapt to pretty much anything that comes at me. There's very little that can be thrown at me now, especially. But I was able to roll the punches and just kind of take things as they went and do what needed to be done and not really worry about anything. Just knowing that I had enough of the knowledge. I may not have known everything. I knew that coming up. I didn't know absolutely everything I needed to know. But I knew that I could learn, and I could learn quickly, and that was instilled when I was here. And you also were able to work through problems, and that helps when you're trying to, you're in the middle of the ocean, and you're the only one there, and you've got to work things through. So that helped. For me, since we had the summer programs, we had the cruises that we had to go on. That also helps a lot. Being able to see things, how they operate in service, works out very, very well. There's not a whole lot. A lot of it was for the academy, was not preparing me, was safety. It was all my own mindset and what I could have done. And just, you know, being able to take on the extra things here helped me be prepared for when I left.
I realized a couple of years ago how much I appreciated the education I got here. This was a fantastic foundation to start the career, and I did not realize that here. I was a little overwhelmed because it was something that I really had no clue what I was getting into. But all the classes and training that I'm doing now, basically I learned here for the first time, and that was very valuable. I probably could have used, I went on the summer cruises as well. A lot of my time was taken up, but there was still time I could have gotten more experience. There's a lot of opportunities out there, even for a couple weeks, to for small boat ops and working on a shore someplace. I probably could have taken better care of my time to learn more, but I chose not to.
I think the hands-on piece is a big part of Maine Maritime. I think when I first started my career that a lot of people I came across that were not familiar with Maine Maritime were surprised at how much we had learned and how quickly you could go out into the field and do things. And you know, that was attributable to co-ops and to a lot of the hands-on stuff that we're able to do in the classroom. And the professors really encouraging you to ask questions. I mean, I think that is always key. I always ask a lot of questions, but I think what it didn't prepare me for, and maybe and again, it's more me than the academy, is just that I probably could have done more and I held back. Like, you have so many opportunities when you leave to travel and do things. And I thought I didn't want to do that, but looking back, like when I had gotten out of here, I should have done all the traveling I could, because that's the time to do it. And you can do it, and you know, don't be afraid to go out and do that if that's something that interests you.
Thank you. Question 4. Is your career or field still considered to be male-dominated? What has your experience been like as a woman in your field? And have you experienced any discrimination or sexism?
Yes, my field is definitely male-dominated. In the GE project management thermal department, we have about 60 project managers, and there's 4 females. I haven't found any challenge with it. I enjoy it. I mean, it doesn't really bother me. I work with wonderful people, men of all ages. You know, we have a great working relationship. And when I was in the field, it was fine. You know, you're just a person like everybody else, so I don't really have any bad experiences with that. I think it's been a positive experience for me.
Yes, it is a male-dominated career. That class I took a couple weeks ago, there were 30 people in it, and I was only female. And I don't think anyone looked differently. If anything, my experience, I was only captain in the class, and I was talked to about that quite a bit, and I was asked to share my experiences. For the most part, everyone is fantastic to work with. I've never had any real problems. There's been a couple cases where harassment, But I kind of think it was the people more than anything. You find people that go to sea sometimes are socially inept. But for the most part, to quote a coworker, it's a dysfunctional family away from home. And we do look after each other, and we do make sure that we're taken care of. I feel safe out there. I've never been put in a situation where I don't feel safe. So yes, it's a male-dominated world, but I don't see that as a problem at all. I see me being able to do the job and do it well, and if not, then someone else that does it better can take over. I'm okay with that.
Absolutely. On the ship, yes, there are a lot of women that work, but they don't work in the marine part of it, the decker and the engine department. We have a department of 54. I'm the only female most of the time. We do get a few other engineers that come through, but I'm the only one who stayed. When I worked for Transocean, there were 110 people on board. I was the only female for 2 years. I didn't have any issues as far as harassment or anything went. I got lucky. I've heard horror stories from other people. But I had 110 older brothers, and they acted like it. So, but it's not a bad thing. I mean, they looked out for me no matter what. And at the same thing now, we go ashore in any of the ports that we go into, we always go in groups, and I never have to worry about anything. I have the guys will look after me no matter what. Have a little too much to drink, or you are just out in a bad area, and they make sure they look out for you. So I've never had a problem.
So I guess for me, the challenge would be to quantify the field that I'm in. So I guess you could say I'm in R&D, but there's R&D in so many different lines of business. So you could say I'm a scientist, but that kind of is very, very broad too. So it's hard for me to say whether or not what I do is dominated by males or females. I could tell you in research and development at IDEX, there's 300 people. The group that I work in, there's about 90 people, and it's pretty evenly split. I've always felt very welcome for any job that I've done. I've never personally experienced any sort of discrimination, at least none that I know of. I guess you don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I certainly have never experienced it.
Thanks. What advice do you have for MMA students preparing to go into your field?
So what is my field? Honestly, and that's really fun for me. I mean, I'm going to be working for, hopefully only 20 more years, but possibly 30 more years. So it's really fun for me to kind of have that outlook that I don't know what I'm going to be doing. You're supposed to have a 5-year plan all the time, and every time I get to 5 years from now, this is what I want to do. A year in, guess what? My 5-year just changed. So like that for me, I never hit it. I'm constantly evolving. So I would really say if you're interested in science, it is such a broad field. And my advice would be to just take a little more time on yourself and spending the time getting a little more education. I know you're already in school, so you hit the end of the year and you're like, oh my gosh, it's summertime, I'm gonna go just ski. That makes sense, right? Just making sure everybody's awake. I'm gonna go to the beach. But really, I wish I had done more internships. I wish I had looked at some other companies and tried to just discover a little bit more about the type of science that I wanted to do. So that maybe I didn't have so much ambiguity coming out of school. What did I want to do? But for me, the outlook is really, really fun. It's fun to not know what I'm going to be doing, honestly, for the next 5 years. Will I be at IDEX? I hope so. I think it's a wonderful company. They take great care of me. But, if you're in the science, I don't know how many scientists are here. But honestly, just, science is a big field. So just spend a little time trying to figure out, what do you actually want to do. So when you get out of here, you can go and start working at it.
Advice. Horrible advice. But I would say if you're going to go into the shipping industry, for me it's stand your ground, and that's a big thing. Have fun, but stand your ground. I've had a lot of the guys, I've never gotten harassment, but I've gotten people that have tried to intimidate, tried to say that they know more than me. Whether they're younger, older, more experienced, less experienced, they may try to intimidate you. But stand your ground, and they will respect you for it even more. For me, that's how it is. They may try to tell me that I'm wrong, but if I know I'm right, you won't convince me otherwise. I can be very, very stubborn, and it pays off overall. I like to encourage getting more education also. Stick with the newer technologies. If you have time, you can go back to school and take some newer classes for some newer things. Do it. It's a good thing to stay up on the technology, because anytime, especially if you get on the newer ships, everything is automated. It's all new technology. It's good to stay abreast on what's new. Because if you get onto a new ship, you change companies, they just transfer you to a new vessel. You may need that information. And have fun. I mean, that's the biggest thing, especially if you're shipping. Have fun. I travel a lot while I'm on vacation. I have fun, and that's what keeps me doing this, is I'm able to go and do the things that I want to do. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Work hard, but enjoy yourself.
The education, the learning after you leave here is never ending. You're going to graduate and you're going to get a job, and the first thing they're going to do is send you to some kind of training. It's going to happen right off the bat. There's times that I've been home for 4 months, and 3 of those months is training. It's needed. Some of it's repeat classes, like firefighting. I must have taken 8 times so far. But it's needed. It's needed to keep your job. It's needed to keep updated on the equipment. Another thing I didn't discover, really didn't take advantage of till a couple years after I graduated, was all the maritime associations. I live in Connecticut, and there's Connecticut Maritime Association, and they have a conference every year. They just had it last week, and it's companies come in and they have the latest technology, latest equipment, and it's nice to talk to them to see what's out there, to see what you might be getting on your ship. Another thing for females is WISTA. I believe it's Women's International Shipping and Trading Association. It's an organization that has females from every maritime field. It could be from ocean studies engineers to shipyard workers to deep sea to fishing. If you work something related to the maritime industry, you could join. And every year they have a conference called Women on the Water. It was here a couple of years ago. And that's great to get contacts of people. If you do run into issues or try and figure out what to do with yourself, or contact anyone in the association and they'll help you. They'll guide you and give you some advice.
Yeah, I think these ladies said it really well. I mean, continue learning. You're always learning. Have fun. Do something you love. You don't have to do anything that you're not enjoying. You have so many opportunities. I started as an engineer. I'm a project manager, but in GE you can go to sales. You can go to wind, do renewables. I mean, endless possibilities to you. So if you're not enjoying something, find something that you do enjoy doing. And network. Talk to everybody, meet as many people as you possibly can, because those connections you make in every job could be where your next job is or your next location. So it's really key.
What's next for you?
What's happening next for me? So I got off my ship in December and decided, probably, I don't know if it's a good decision or not, decided not to go back. I'm supposed to be going back sometime in April, and decided just to take some time off and figure things out. I'm trying to find either a part-time shoreside job or a full-time shoreside job. And honestly, the whole 9 to 5, 5 days or 6 days a week does not appeal to me. So I might just take some time and travel and then go back to sea in the fall. So that's what's up for me.
I don't know where I'm going tomorrow, so it doesn't really matter. Immediate future is I'm going back to work in 5 weeks. I go back at the end of April. Other than that, long term, I have no idea. Am I going to stay with Norwegian Cruise Line long term? I don't know. Every time I go back to work, I say I'm going to get a shoreside job, and every time I come home, I forget to look for a shoreside job. So I can't say that I'm going to stay. It's a different challenge every day. I enjoy my job. I enjoy the people I work with. That's what keeps me going back. So I can't say that I have any immediate long-term plans to go anywhere.
For me, I'm actually currently pursuing a job change, still within IDEX, but moving into marketing. I have a broad science base, and we do a lot of science in IDEX that I don't even know about. And a lot of my job, I get to talk with outside vendors and clients, and there's a lot of interpersonal relationship. And I've found that over the couple of years that I've been there that I've really enjoyed that. So I'm looking at moving into a marketing position. If I get that, I have no idea. Again, I feel excited that I don't really have a roadmap, but I feel like I have a really good foundation to kind of do whatever I want, and that's pretty exciting for me.
Thank you all very much. I think at this point we have time. Well, you haven't answered yet?
I don't know. I mean, I've been in project management for a couple of years. I plan to stay for a couple more years. And then, like I said, with GE, I have endless opportunities. So, you know, I'm not sure where I'm going, but I'll find something. I'm going places.
There you go.
Oh, the places you'll go.
At this point, we can open this up if there are any members of the audience who have questions for any of our panelists. Professor Cote.
Welcome back. One big thing that all of you shared when you were at the employee review, what impact do you think that experience has brought to your careers and your self-confidence, your ability to handle well? Did you hear that?
So the question was, we all have in common that we were athletes, so what impact did that have on us in our career and confidence, is that correct? I will tell you, and I said this earlier, early on, especially moving out of Maine and being in the science field, a lot of people didn't know about Maine Maritime, but a lot of people know about basketball. And every interview I went to, we would talk about basketball. And I had considered putting that like top on my resume because that's what we always ended up talking about. Either somebody played or knew somebody, and that absolutely just opened up the conversation. And then everything from there, I mean, it did come into obviously the education, but being able to be on a fantastic team where we won championships, we did it with 6 women. You know, we were the first NCAA recognized women's basketball team. I mean, those are the things that I think showed, you know, the potential employer that, you know, I had a little bit of fight. And that was very, very beneficial to me.
I did not play basketball.
It would have taken you.
I ran cross country, and I remember thinking during races I might not have ran well enough. I did not think I did well, but yet the team was there and still cheering me on. And I remember thinking that. And I try to do the same on the ship. Try to promote and try to build confidence on everyone, even if they don't think they've done a good job. Maybe they did. And of course, I still run, and that was a huge outlet on the ship. Getting on the treadmill every night for a half hour or so is excellent source of stress relief. Fantastic. So that's helped me.
Yeah, I think it makes you more well-rounded just to start. I think that's easily said. And you know, it helps with your time management because when you get out in the workplace, you're busy and you're working long shifts and a lot of hours. And you know, I'm still on call now all the time. And just being able to multitask and you know, it's not easy to play sports and go to college. And we were in a 14-passenger van with 10 people trying to study. So you know, it helps you look at challenges in a different way.
What advice would you give especially younger females going into the workforce with interviews, like how to succeed when you're being asked those questions on like what skills do you have?